Illinois could be the reason nationally that we no longer have Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House. Imagine that. Does anyone know, by the way, how many seats need to flip in Washington, D.C. for Republicans to take over? Anyone? Is it 30? Is it 40? Anyone know? 5. That's it. We have 213. We flip 5 seats, we get to 218. That's the majority. And I guarantee you, we're going to win a lot more than 5. But we flipped 14 of them in this last election. 14, 15. If we flipped 3 of them here in Illinois, we could be the state that gave the Republicans the House of Representatives. So what can we do? What can we do right now? We can raise money to support conservative Republican candidates who are for election integrity, who are for a strong border, who will fight the Biden administration's attempt to raise taxes and pay for the Trojan horse disguised as COVID relief. We need strong, articulate advocates against cancel culture and the toxic, divisive, anti-unity rhetoric of everything is racist identity politics. We need to, yes, embrace the achievements of President Trump and embrace the people of color flocking to the conservative movement and the growing working people populist base of the Republican Party, the forgotten men and women of the USA. So I have an announcement tonight. I am forming a PAC, Political Action Committee, to do just that. To raise money to support congressional candidates for office who will unseat specific Illinois Democrats. Bill Foster, Lauren Underwood, Sherry Bustos, Sean Casten.
1, 2, 3.
I like it. I love that one clap thing. And if there was a Republican in name only running for a congressional seat that Ogle County falls in, we will oppose that person, this PAC will, and do everything we can, within legal boundaries of course, to support the sharpest and most conservative candidate in that primary. This PAC specifically is about U.S. Congress. 5 seats, and we have the majority back. Just 5. The Forgotten Men and Women PAC paperwork is already in the process of being filed. P.O. Box 141 here in Rochelle. It will go live on April 2nd, 2021. We can do it, and we can start it right here in the middle of Northern Illinois, good old Ogle County, United States of America. How awesome is it to be out in a real event in Rochelle, Illinois, huh? Stacey Flanagan, I want to thank you for helping sponsor this. You mentioned Stacey Flanagan. That's you, Stacey Flanagan. And also the Ogle County Republican Party, along with many other county Republican parties, for sponsoring the Michael Kulichow's trip to CPAC 2021. It was in Orlando, Florida, the end of February and the beginning of March. It was about a week. My beautiful wife, along with 2 of our nieces, my road producers, as I call them, came. And it was an absolutely fantastic trip. That honestly was the most bittersweet moment of CPAC, all the different remembrances of Rush Limbaugh with fellow friends and lifetime listeners. Everyone was just connected in that memory and that love they had of Rush Limbaugh. Everything else at CPAC 2021 was honestly jubilant. It was absolutely awesome. CPAC was about unity and positivity and love of the United States, things we all have in common, about self-reliance, about compassion, and yes, love. There was a podcast booth there by 2 hosts named Darius Mayfield and Priscilla Confrey, 2 people of color, that was called Not Black, Not White, American. Imagine that. People not focused on balkanization and factions and identity groups and skin color. In other words, CPAC was the exact opposite of everything the Democrats and the left seem to be about these days. Now, at the risk of sounding like an identity politics obsessed leftist, the thing we all noticed about CPAC this year more than any other was how diverse it was. Yes, diverse. There were more people who did not look like me, white, almost middle-aged, straight male. Well, maybe I am actually middle-aged. And it was glorious. It was so great seeing people who weren't homogeneous. That was borne out, actually, by the facts of the last election. The 2020 election, Trump actually gained support among minorities. Not by a little, either. Black support of Trump doubled, more than doubled, than it did in 2016. Hispanic support increased significantly, especially in battleground states like Ohio and Florida. And let me tell you, this terrifies the left. They do not like it. And I'm telling you, it scares the left more than anything else. Before I went to CPAC this year, I predicted that if it was low attended, they would say, oh, look, the conservative movement is dying. But if it was very high attended, which it was, there were over 10,000 people there, they're going to say, oh, it's a super spreader event. Well, neither of those things happened, so what did they come up with? What did they try to push? What was the narrative? Does anyone know what one of the big takeaways about the media was trying to, or what are the conspiracy theories about CPAC? That the stage was designed in some kind of a symbol that someone of a white nationalist, group used or something. Total baloney, total conspiracy, nutty stuff. But that's what they come up with. They always come back to racist. Everything's racist. When everything is racist, nothing is racist. And that is not working. It's not working. People of color, people who, again, are not like me, more and more, they are flocking to the right and the Republican Party. And it's great, and it's awesome. Come one, come all. We also talked a lot, actually, about elections, about how elections are conducted, and about winning elections. I had a great discussion with a man named Autry Pruitt. It was the first interview I did there, actually. You know what he emphasized? He emphasized how in Georgia, where I just did my radio show a couple of weeks prior, at the big Georgia runoffs, how Stacey Abrams there ate Republicans' lunch. She beat the Republicans at winning elections there. Everyone knows, I don't know if you know who Stacey Abrams is, she's this really effective community organizer in Georgia, and she got a lot of people to vote in the runoff elections that didn't even vote in the elections in November of 2020. And of course, we know what happened there. The Democrats won both seats. All this awful stuff you see on the news about killing the filibuster possibly, about adding states, about adding Supreme Court justices, wouldn't even be in the discussion if we had won just one of those seats. But winning elections, Autry Pruitt emphasized, that's what we have to be focused on all the time. Election integrity was talked about a lot. We can't be intimidated by people like Stacey Abrams and J.B. Pritzker and Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin and the rest of them who cry racist at anyone who is attempting to give our elections more integrity. We need to lean in on this fight. I also interviewed and chatted a little bit with Scott Presler. Does anyone know who Scott Presler is? Scott Presler is an incredible conservative activist. Definitely does not fit the stereotype of a Republican or a conservative. He is one of the most influential and, more importantly, effective activists in the country. Maybe a Stacey Abrams of the right. He goes to areas all over the country and recruits an army of people to clean up a neighborhood that's blighted, to clean up garbage and pollution stuff. Spends a weekend physically doing something, making a place better, and then, if there's an election going on, gets people to knock on doors, gets people to canvass, gets people to help get conservatives elected in this country. And he's a doer. He's not someone who just talks. He's a guy who actually does things. And we did talk about the 16th Congressional District. That's ours, in case you didn't know. He's not a fan of some of the things our congressman has been saying of late, Congressman Kinzinger, and I have to say I'm definitely not a fan of a lot of things that Congressman Kinzinger has been saying either. I've interviewed Adam on my show many times. I've had him in my studio, which is right down the street from here. I think he's a good person. I like him personally. But I do not, in any way, shape, or form, support a lot of the things he's been saying over the last couple of weeks. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know there's already a handful of candidates saying that they're going to primary Kinzinger in the 16th in 2022. Now, there's a problem with that, of course. There's a very good chance that the 16th Congressional District, as we know it right now, won't look anything like it does in the 2020 election, or 2022 election, I'm sorry. They're talking about chopping it up in a bunch of different ways. The Democrats have total control over that. I'm going to get to that in a second. But I honestly have serious doubts, and I'm not trying to start any rumors here. I don't know this for certain, but it's been talked about quite a lot publicly that Kinzinger's talking about running for statewide office, and perhaps U.S. Senate, governor. I don't think he's going to run for the seat, frankly, next time. And I also don't think there is going to be a seat like it exists right now in 2022. The Democrats, I can guarantee you, are going to try to get two incumbent Republicans to run against each other in a GOP primary. They did it 10 years ago, if you remember. They had Kinzinger versus Manzullo. They're going to try to put Davis versus LaHood, or Kinzinger versus Mary Miller, or Bost versus LaHood. They're going to try to mess around with that. I can guarantee it. And who knows where Ogle County, which is where we are, is going to fall. One map, the Cook Political Report recently published, shows 3 different scenarios. Ogle could fall in Lauren Underwood's district, be represented by a Democrat, Lauren Underwood. Or we can fall into Sherry Bustos' district. Yeah, Ogle County. Or there's another map that shows us falling maybe in Bill Foster's district, the 11th, or even Mary Miller, who's way on John Chipkus' old district. I don't think it's even that far-fetched that we were to become part of Darren LaHood's district or Rodney Davis's district. The point is, we do not know what it's going to look like in this next election. So people running right now are running for a district that is not going to exist. Now, the very off chance that Adam Kinzinger, for some reason, doesn't finish his term, maybe he resigns early. Again, I'm not starting any rumors, I'm not hearing anything at all, but politics can be crazy. Maybe he takes a position in the Biden administration. It's not that far-fetched. In that case, there would be a special election in the 16th district, and there would definitely be people running to fill out that term who haven't announced anything yet. And who knows who might throw their hat in the ring in that scenario. The fact is, we don't know what the 2022 districts will look like until they are drawn, and then it's off to the races for the March primary, unless they change that date too. The bottom line is this: we as Republicans have no say in how these seats are drawn. It's all in the Democrats' hands. That's just how it is here in Illinois. But imagine this, and this is the seed I want to plant tonight. And this is a big announcement I'm going to make tonight. Imagine that we keep 4 Republican seats and flip 2. We flip one of the 2 Democrats that I just mentioned. They won their races by a really tiny margin in a race that the Democrat won the presidency in. These midterms coming up are going to have a lot less Democrats going to the polls, and off-year elections in Illinois are always not favorable to Republicans, but way more favorable than they are in presidential races. We can flip 2 seats. Imagine if we flip 3 seats. Bustos, Underwood, Foster, maybe even Sean Casten, who knows? Illinois could be the reason nationally that we no longer have Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House. Imagine that. Right here, Ogle County. Does anyone know, by the way, how many seats need to flip in Washington, D.C. for Republicans to take over? Anyone, is it 30, is it 40, anyone know? 5. That's it. We have 213. We flip 5 seats, we get to 218, and that's the majority. And I guarantee you, we're going to win a lot more than 5. But if we just were to win, if we just were to flip 5, we flipped 14 of them in this last election, 14, 15. If we flipped 3 of them here in Illinois, we could be the state that gave the Republicans the House of Representatives. So what can we do? What can we do right now? We can raise money to support conservative Republican candidates who are for election integrity, who are for a strong border, who will fight the Biden administration's attempt to raise taxes and pay for the Trojan horse disguised as COVID relief. We need strong, articulate advocates against cancel culture and the toxic, divisive, anti-unity rhetoric of everything is racist identity politics. We need to, yes, embrace the achievements of President Trump and embrace the people of color flocking to the conservative movement and the growing working people populist base of the Republican Party, the forgotten men and women of the USA. So I have an announcement tonight. I am forming a PAC, Political Action Committee, to do just that. To raise money to support congressional candidates for office who will unseat specific Illinois Democrats. Bill Foster, Lauren Underwood, Sherry Bustos, Sean Casten.
1, 2, 3.
I like it. I love that one clap thing. And if there was a Republican in name only running for a congressional seat that Ogle County falls in, we will oppose that person, this PAC will, and do everything we can, within legal boundaries of course, to support the sharpest and most conservative candidate in that primary. I have more optimism about 2022 in Illinois than I ever have in my 20 plus years as a working adult in this wonderful state. Don't rule out the governor's mansion, don't rule out the U.S. Senate seat, don't rule out the Illinois Secretary of State seat, but this PAC specifically is about U.S. Congress. 5 seats, and we have the majority back, just 5. The Forgotten Men and Women PAC paperwork is already in the process of being filed. P.O. Box 141 here in Rochelle. It will go live on April 2nd, 2021. We can do it, and we can start it right here in the middle of Northern Illinois, good old Ogle County, United States of America. Let's do it, and let's go. Thank you.
1, 2, 3.